It was challenging, but I think I was lucky enough to work for some amazing leaders as a teacher, and I learned from some of the best leaders and some of the, maybe also learned from the negative, what I didn't want to do. I knew, it's, I had this phrase that you don't, throw the baby out with the bathwater. You only make change if change is necessary. So it's been selective,
right.
Keeping what's good. And I think my team could see that I wasn't there to just make a change just to make a mark for myself. It was actually making a change that was meaningful. I'm not saying jump ship, but you've definitely got to think about, well, what is it that's not making you happy and what can you change? It may just be a little shift, a little, redirection, or it may be a complete career change, but you're working for, 60 years of your life, and surely you've got to be happy at what you do. Giving yourself some slack, some time to, if you're going to reflect, and you need time to do it. You need time to understand yourself and who you are. I did feel for good 6-7 months, now and again I have those little moments, but a lot of my identity was associated with being a head teacher. And when you strip that back, you think, well, who am I? Who am I then?
Welcome to Real People, Real Results, Real Change, the podcast that's dedicated to helping real people develop real health and fitness in their lives. Real people like you, business owners, professionals, house husbands and housewives, and students. I'm Stefan, I'm a personal wellness coach at UFit Studio, and I'll be your host. This episode I'm talking with ex-head teacher and photographer Meera Karia. Meera talks with me on making a big career change and the challenges and opportunities that this brings. Okay, Meera, thank you so much for talking to me today. And I know from chatting to you before, right, that you've made in recent times quite significant transitions and changes in your life. Is that post sort of pandemic and lockdown, would you say, or did this start beforehand?
I think the actual changes were post-pandemic, towards the latter stage of the pandemic, really. But I think it was inevitable. The changes were always going to happen. I just didn't know at the time. It was a build-up of lots of different things, and it wasn't to do with the pandemic at all, really. So I don't want to even say it was because of the pandemic.
No. Sure.
But lots of thinking time during the pandemic helped to make the decision, I suppose.
Yeah. Because you've changed up your career, like first and foremost, right?
Yes.
And so tell me a little bit about this, because you were you were in a successful career, right?
Yeah, and thinking back, and I have, although I'm going on a journey to pursue something different. By the time I was 37, I was a head teacher. So looking back, I think, actually, that was really young, and I had a very young family. But I was passionate, and I never pursued. I never knew when I was younger that I wanted to be a head teacher. I loved working with children, so I drifted. I drifted into teaching because I enjoyed it. I drifted into leadership of small teams. I only ever had 3 interviews in my whole career.
Really?
One as a teacher, one as a deputy, one as a head.
Okay. Wow.
So some of it was, I suppose, drifting. Some of it was opportunities that came my way. You sometimes think about manifestation and things happen for a reason. I am a firm believer that everything happens for a reason.
Okay.
And every time I came to a decision, I made a choice, and it ended up being that I became a head teacher at the age of 37 of a school that I loved. And you hear about when I was training, because there was a accreditation I had to do to become a head teacher. And I was on a course with a few other aspiring heads, and some of them were just passionate of being a head teacher of a school, whereas for me, I loved the school where I was working. And unfortunately, the head teacher was poorly and ended up retiring.
Yeah.
And the opportunity came my way. So I don't want to think that was opportunist, but it felt the right thing to do because I enjoyed working at the school, I enjoyed working with the team, and I felt if I look back and I didn't even try to apply for the job, I'd be kicking myself.
Right.
But I got the job, and then that weight on your shoulders, I actually am doing this. So a little bit of it was winging it, I suppose, and but I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it, and it was the right thing for me at that point in time.
Right. And you've been so you've been a big driver for change as a head teacher. You know, for change, development, improvement. You know, you've always had high standards, right? Or aimed
Absolutely.
for higher standards.
Yeah.
Has that always been the case? Or?
Do you know, for me, it's really, for me, I'm a very creative person. So I'm just going back to being just a classroom teacher and the kind of way I used, my teaching strategies, how I used to teach. And I just love getting the best out of children, but inspiring them. So when I became a head, I love getting the best out of my team. And I could see that transition quite quickly. And I had great relationships with them. I understood them. And we knew we had a job to do. And it was the journey we were going to go on. But I knew there were quick fixes. I could be very strict, say, right, this is what we're going to do, and have not have the thought process with them, or actually, let's do this together. And I really enjoyed that.
Right.
It was hard because we had young teachers, we had teachers who were very established, and those that probably found change a little bit difficult. But I loved working with all of them, and very quickly, within a couple of years, we were a very strong team and made a lot of changes because we were passionate about the changes. So a lot of this was about we and not I. But sorry, what was the question? I've lost my track.
Well, what that's making me think is that actually that because that teams are always very varied, and like you say, you have established people, you have newer people, and you have a wide variety of different viewpoints. So to bring a team together with a vision that involves change that's a challenging thing to do. I'm wondering, like, what are some of the ways that you
It
did
was
that?
challenging, but I think I was lucky enough to work for some amazing leaders as a teacher, and I learned from some of the best leaders and some of the maybe also learned from the negative, what I didn't want to do. I knew, it's. I had this phrase that you don't, throw the baby out with the bathwater. You only make change if change is necessary. So it's been selective,
Right.
keeping what's good. And I think my team could see that I wasn't there to just make a change, just to make a mark for myself. It was actually making a change that was meaningful for all of us. Because
that sounds quite rare, actually.
Does it?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, but I don't know. I knew whatever I needed to do, we had to do it together. I needed to go on the journey, or we need to go on the journey together. And I needed to gauge. It wasn't going to be a quick process, although actually the outcome was quick.
Right.
I knew it would take time because everybody was at different stages. But very quickly, I had a team, and you kind of say to people, right, this is our vision. We either get on board, or if this is not the right kind of bus for you, there are bus stops, I suppose. But my team were amazing. Everybody, was very supportive and willing to make the changes because they understood the why. I spent a lot of time talking about the why.
Okay. Yes.
And I listened because I wasn't always going to get it right. Because teachers and the staff, they were at the forefront every day, dealing with the changes. So listening to them, helping them, listening to them so we could steer and sort of navigate our path. And make those improvements. And very quickly, we were when I took over the school wasn't in a good place, and we knew that. And we knew we needed to make change very quickly because obviously you have the exterior kind of validators like Ofsted, and so we knew we needed to make that change. But for us, we had a purpose. We wanted to be a beacon school, but because we believed in it. It wasn't for anybody else's validation. It was just for us. We wanted to feel great at what we did.
Right.
So,
Yeah, amazing. Okay. So So you're in this role.
Yep.
You're leading a team. You're doing that successfully because you're achieving those outcomes, right? And you're hitting various targets
Yeah.
and markers, and you're bringing people on board, and you're engaging with them with the the why of the journey, right? So you're bringing them on board at that deepest level, right? So like the values, I guess, of the reason for those changes and those developments. But then, and yet you've moved beyond that as well. So tell me a little bit about about.
You'd be surprised, really, because you'd be surprised because actually, I don't want to brag, but I actually enjoyed what I did. The school was in a great place, and it was recognised for great practice. You know, other teachers from different schools would also visit to see our practice. It was great.
Right.
So then you kind of ask the question, why did I leave and not jump ship, but what happened? And lots of different things. So, things to do with just the education landscape was changing.
Okay.
And I have been in education for 24 years. So there were some things I enjoyed, and I realised there were some things I didn't have control over because that was the educational landscape. And I possibly didn't share the same values.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay.
So I could either become a person that just agreed and just carried on, and I still have another 20 years of a career, so to have all that time to give to something.
Yeah.
But I realised for me, being passionate about what I do is important, and sharing values which are the same in the job that I do is important.
Okay.
So it was really difficult, I'm not going to lie. I really enjoyed that job. I still miss the people, and I miss, I do have lovely memories, and I do miss it, but there were certain things I disagreed with, and over time that chips away, and I thought, well, do I want to? I do not want to become bitter.
Yeah.
That is not me.
Yeah.
And also, I was finding that I wasn't having enough time with my family. And I just weighed things up, and I came to a sort of a crossroads in my life, and I could make a choice, and I had the support of my husband, and I thought, okay, I'm either being foolish or brave. I'd like to think that I'm being brave because I'm trying to pursue something that I'm going to change what I'm doing and pursue something that I might enjoy more.
Yeah.
So, I decided to change career. I'm still on that journey. I can't say I've jumped into a different career. I haven't. I'm still... lots of people said, oh, you're so lucky, you've got an opportunity to do this and sort of review your life. And it's not a midlife crisis. I'm just at a point where I can look at, well, what do I enjoy? If I didn't go into education, what would I have done? And what other skills do I have? What have I got to offer the world? And actually, did I even sort of, am I meeting my soul's purpose?
Right.
Am I actually doing what I was meant to do? And I spent time reading. I've got a bit of soul searching, thinking about where is it that I want to go? And actually, some of this journey is quite scary because I was used to a job. I was earning a lot of money, although I never went into the career because of money. It was always about being passionate about what I do. But it is scary. It is, of course, it's scary, and there is fear. But in that fear sometimes comes an opportunity to do something new. And I'm trying to remember that when I do have those moments of, oh, why did I do this? But yes, so I'm on that journey of change, I suppose, and evolving into something else. So that's where I'm at.
Okie dokie. Amazing. So, and I think you've kind of just engaged with what I guess I was wanting to kind of ask about next, which was that because we all get highs and lows, and we all get these challenges, and change is always challenging, and especially when you're moving from a like one career and you're sort of shifting within that. And so how do you get your head into the right space in order to sort of keep moving forwards? And And it sounds like, are you exploring like a variety of different sort of opportunities, or?
So I'm a year into this. So I think when I first left, I thought, right, quite a few people said, what are you going to do? I said, I actually don't have an answer. I don't really know what I'm going to do. So that some people, oh, well done, that's really brave. And a few people looked at me, that's odd, but yes. How? I have spent a lot of time reflecting and reading, a lot of time thinking about, well, what is it that I can give back to the world? Because I do believe, this is just me, but I do believe we're all here to give something back to the world. Yes, you have a career, you earn money, you need to be financially stable, but what is it that you can give to the world? And what specific skill set do I have? And there are lots of skills I learned along the way in my previous career, so I'm not going to disregard them. It's about thinking what's transferable. But initially, I went to right, I've got these skills and I can apply them into this job. But I realised I was sort of kind of putting my sort of very focused on a niche market, and I may not have enjoyed that job.
Okay.
So, and actually, it's hard because I was in education, and that's very different to going out into the wider world. I love working with people, so I knew I needed to do something where I'm working with people.
Yeah.
And then I had a bit of I suppose I had a bit of a epiphany. I don't have to just fit myself or have a mold to fit into. I can just try things. Education has been a big part of my life, and I was thinking, well, what is it that I can do with those skills? So I'm doing a little bit of working with Leicester University and what's called SKIT, where I train teachers, and that's an element of my job I loved, where I was developing other people.
Yeah.
So I get to do it on my terms, as in I work independently. And I enjoy that. I actually do enjoy working with people and being part of their development. And I feel I have a little bit to give there, so that's great.
Yeah.
And then there's a little bit of, this might be a bit of a red herring for people, but I just thought, let's have a hobby. Let's try different things. Let's do things that I used to enjoy. Why not? Why am I pulling the shutters down? Why can't I try things that I used to enjoy before?
Okay.
So photography, and I do remember telling people, yes, I think I might go into newborn baby photography. And again, I got some strange faces. I thought, well, if people are saying world's your oyster, well, why not try something? And whatever you do is going to be hard, whether it's a new career, a new job, starting a new business. Whatever you do is going to be hard.
Yeah.
So why not do something you really enjoy? And it's still hard, so give it a go.
Yeah.
So I'm actually got my first newborn baby photo shoot this week.
Okay.
So I'm really excited. I've always loved children, so it's a bit of a kind of left wing because I'm still working with children.
Yeah.
But young children, or working with young parents, and I'm making memories for them, which is exciting.
Yeah.
I've got an opportunity to be creative.
Yeah.
I'm learning because I'm a novice.
Yeah.
Really, I'm not a professional photographer yet. Saying yet, I'd like to be, and it's a hobby that I hope will evolve because I know I'll enjoy it, but I also need to give time to it so it can evolve. So at the moment, I've got that balance of having time for the family. I'm still using my skill set as an educationalist, and I'm pursuing a hobby that eventually may become something more. And I've got an opportunity to be creative. So it's juggling now. I'm doing 3 or 4 things, which is interesting, and it's keeping me busy. I recently spoke to somebody about what I'm doing right now, and they said, well, how brave, and it's great to do things that scare you. And I'm glad they said that, because all of this does scare me. It does scare me.
Yeah.
Because I was used to a job, I knew what I was doing, and I was good at it, I got paid, and now it's trying different things, and it's scary. But actually, if we don't do things that scare us or give us fear, we will never know what's on the other side.
So true.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And so if you just, I guess, like reflecting back on this part of the journey sort of so far, like what have you learned? Like if you were to pass on some of the sort of the learning or the lessons that have sort of come from this, like is there anything that, like with hindsight over the last sort of year, you'd have done differently, for example, or what are the, you know, what's worked and what's, you know, what are you still refining?
I say this to my children, although my children are much younger and they're thinking about what university courses they want to do and their careers. I've always said to them, you've got to pursue things that make you enjoy, that make you happy, and something you're good at.
Right.
So I need to live by that, you know. And I've been, I think towards the end of my career in education, I probably wasn't feeling as happy with what I was doing. So over the last year, I think happiness has had a big part to play with the decisions I've been making.
Right.
So in terms of what I would say to others is, if something isn't making you happy, I'm not saying jump ship, but you've definitely got to think about, well, what is it that's not making you happy and what can you change? It may just be a little shift, you know, a little, you know, redirection, or it may be a complete career change, but you're working for, 60 years of your life, and surely you've got to be happy at what you do. And or you can become a person that just moans about your job for the rest of your life. And don't get me wrong, I do understand that sometimes you just have to work because you have family, you have responsibilities, and I understand that too. But sometimes a little change can give you an opportunity to be happy at what you do. Sorry, just remind me of that question again.
Yeah, just lessons really that you've learned and could share.
And giving yourself some slack, some time to, you know, if you're going to reflect, and you need time to do it. You need time to understand yourself and who you are. I did feel for good 6-7 months. Now and again I have those little moments, but a lot of my identity was associated with being a head teacher. And when you strip that back, you think, well, who am I? You know, who am I then if I'm not that? What am I? And it's learning about who you are as a person. That's a big part of this process when you're going through a change. So I think, giving yourself some slack to find out things about you and finding out new things about you. Well, what is it that you could do? Trying something new can be scary, but it can also be quite exhilarating if you give it a chance. Yeah. So, balancing that maybe.
Yeah. Fantastic. Okay. Awesome. So we're going to talk again next episode.
Okay.
And dig into some slightly different things.
Okay.
But thank you so much for today, and I look forward to that conversation.